My name is Daniel Herrera, and what I'm about to share is not fiction. It's not a tale you read in crime novels or see in movies. It's real, and it happened to me. In 2024, I was just another man looking for honest work. I had no idea that a simple job application would drag me into a living nightmare, a place where death wasn't just present, it was routine. I survived, and I believe I did so for one reason: to speak out, to tell the truth, to warn others before it's too late. What you're about to hear is not easy. It's disturbing, but it needs to be said, because silence only protects the predators. I ask that you listen, truly listen, not just to my words, but to the warning they carry. If you or someone you know is desperate for work, unsure of an offer, or simply feeling lost, pay attention. What happened to me could happen to anyone. Let's begin at the moment my life changed forever. I found the job post one evening on Facebook. Private security firm seeks guards, it read. Nothing suspicious. A clean ad with bold fonts and promises that seemed realistic. $13,000 pesos per month, meals included, lodging covered, and 3 shifts to choose from. For someone like me, recently laid off with a baby to feed, it looked like hope. And hope is dangerous when it blinds you. That job listing was a trap, but it was dressed up as a blessing. That's the first thing I want to warn you about. Not every opportunity is what it seems. I clicked apply, filled in a few basic details, and within hours I received a response. You've been selected, it said. No interview, no background check, just a meeting point, Teuchitlán terminal. I remember feeling lucky, even relieved. Finally, a break. I told my girlfriend I'd be gone for training, kissed my baby on the forehead, and packed a bag. I had no idea that would be the last normal moment I'd experience for months. Looking back, I ignored all the red flags, quick responses, no formalities, and too good to be true benefits. When I arrived at the terminal, I wasn't alone. There were other guys like me, young, hopeful, and a little confused. We looked at each other trying to make sense of what was happening. Then, a man in dark clothing came up to us and gave us a name to look for. Find Carlos, he said. He'll take you to your new life. And that's exactly what it felt like, stepping into something unknown, something irreversible. But nobody warned us. Nobody stopped us. We met Carlos. He barely spoke. He led us into a black SUV, no logos, tinted windows. The ride was silent. I remember gripping the edge of the seat, my stomach twisting. But I told myself it was just nerves. Training is supposed to be tough, I repeated, like a mantra. The vehicle drove for what felt like hours, past the city, into desolate stretches of land. When we finally stopped, we were outside a seemingly abandoned house. Get out, they said. So we did. Inside the house, the tone changed. Gone were the friendly smiles or structured onboarding. There were guns on the table, men in masks, loud barking orders. They took our phones, they took our bags, and then they took our names. From now on, you answer when we call you. Forget who you were. I remember swallowing hard, my heart pounding but still trying to rationalize it. Maybe this was a private militia gig. Maybe security training was this intense. But deep down, I knew. Something was wrong. I didn't sleep the first night. The screams from the next room kept me awake. I didn't see who it was. I didn't know why they were screaming. But I felt my body freeze every time I heard the sound. And still, I hoped it was a drill, just part of a psychological test. Denial is a powerful thing. It keeps you alive long enough to adapt, or long enough to die. But what I didn't understand then is that this wasn't a job. It was a sentence. Here's the truth I want you to hear. If something feels off, trust that instinct. Your intuition is a survival tool. I ignored mine and I paid for it. Don't make the same mistake. If you're considering a job and the process feels rushed, unprofessional, or too fast, stop. Investigate. Ask questions. Your life might depend on it. Stay with me as I take you deeper into what happened next, because the house was only the beginning. The second day, they lined us up outside at dawn. The air was cold, but our nerves were colder. No one dared to speak. No one asked questions. Orders came sharp and fast. Run, push-ups, on your face, crawl. But this wasn't fitness training. It was a test of obedience. One man, probably no older than me, hesitated for just a second when asked to drag himself through the mud. A guard kicked him so hard he vomited. No one helped. That's when I realized we were no longer people. We were assets, tools. If we broke, we were discarded. And when you're stripped of your humanity, your mind starts shifting. You start thinking like prey. They introduced us to weapons training the same week. AK-47s, pistols, knives, none of it with explanations. Just you load it or you die. They made us aim at cardboard cutouts shaped like humans. Then they made us aim at live dogs. I froze. I couldn't pull the trigger. The man next to me didn't hesitate. I looked at him, searching for some emotion. There was none. That night they didn't feed me. No explanation. Just punishment. The others noticed and took note. That's how they kept us in check. Hunger, humiliation, pain. These weren't just random acts. They were calculated, designed to break us. The dormitories were nothing more than shipping containers. No mattresses, no blankets, no privacy. You learned to sleep in shifts, one eye open. The guy to my left was named Marco. Quiet, always sketching something in the dirt with a nail. One night he whispered to me, "I don't want to become one of them." I nodded, but I didn't answer, because deep down I wasn't sure if I already had. Every day chipped something off of you. Your dignity, your empathy, your resistance. They weren't training us to fight. They were training us to stop feeling. And then came the first body. It was left in the center of the yard. A message. The kid had tried to escape. I recognized his shoes. He was from my intake group. They hadn't just killed him. They had dismantled him. His body was in pieces, casually dumped like trash. We were told to look, to not turn away. "This is what happens when you think you're still free," the trainer said. And that's when my nightmares began. But here's the truth they don't tell you. When you're living a nightmare, sleep becomes your only escape, even if it means waking up screaming. Weeks passed, and the cycle deepened. Violence became routine. Orders became reflex. I was no longer questioning if I could make it out. I was trying to decide if I even should. That's when they handed me a machete. "Your turn," they said. There was a man kneeling, blindfolded, shaking. I don't know what he did. I never asked. They made me walk behind him. My hands trembled. I said I couldn't. That's when I felt the gun press against my back. The words were clear. Do it, or be next. I wish I could say I ran. I wish I could say I resisted. But I did it. And a part of me died too. Afterwards, I vomited for hours. I couldn't eat, couldn't think. I begged silently for forgiveness from a God I wasn't even sure existed anymore. But no one came. No voice, no redemption, just silence. And that silence haunted me more than any scream. If you're listening right now, I need you to understand, no human being should ever be put in a position where morality becomes optional. And if you're in a situation that feels like it's eating away at your soul, get out. Get out while you still can. Because once you cross certain lines, coming back feels impossible. There were whispers among the others. Whispers of an escape. One guy claimed he knew the shift changes. Another knew a weak point in the fence. We met in secret, behind the kitchen, exchanging pieces of truth like contraband. But every plan died before it was born. Someone always backed out. Someone always snitched. And the punishments that followed were public, graphic, and absolute. That's how they controlled us. Not with walls, but with fear. Fear that ran so deep, it redefined your definition of hope. Because hope was now the most dangerous thing we could carry. The day I almost died didn't begin like anything special. It started with routine drills, crawling, lifting, silence. But then a truck arrived. New recruits. Among them was a boy. Couldn't have been more than 17. Too young, too clean. I saw myself in him just a few months earlier, wide-eyed, terrified. The guards picked him out immediately. "You think you're better than us?" they mocked. He didn't answer. That was his mistake. They dragged him to the center yard and ordered one of us to make an example. That one was me. I said no. The gun came out. I said no again. The butt of the rifle cracked my jaw. I woke up in the infirmary, if you can call it that. The medic wasn't really a medic, just another trainee who had lasted long enough to be handed gauze and aspirin. He whispered to me while bandaging my face, "You got one more mistake left, maybe two." Then he walked away. I didn't ask his name. We didn't do that anymore. Names were dangerous. Names made you care. And caring meant pain. I spent 2 days locked in the tool shed. No food, no water. Only my thoughts. Only the sound of boots passing by. In that shed, I saw my son's face 100 times. I begged him for forgiveness. I swore I'd find a way back to him. I had to, but I had no plan. Only desperation. When they let me out, I was lighter, weaker. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to survive another punishment. Not physically, not mentally. So I started to play the game. Obedient, quiet, efficient. I did what they asked. I helped with cooking, with cleaning, with training the newer recruits. I smiled when they smiled, nodded when they nodded, and all the while, I watched. I memorized schedules, faces, weak points, because survival wasn't enough anymore. I wanted out, and not just for me, for the kid, for Marco, for everyone who still had a piece of soul left. One night we heard gunshots outside the perimeter. Real ones, loud, sustained, not training. The guards scrambled, sirens blared. It was a raid, or maybe another gang. We didn't know, but we knew what it meant. Distraction. While the compound lit up in chaos, a few of us slipped into the supply shed. We changed into uniforms, took badges, grabbed weapons, just in case. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't smart, but it was our only shot. We crawled under the fence near the south tower. The guard up top wasn't there. Maybe he was dead. Maybe drunk. I didn't care. My hands were bleeding. My lungs burned. But I didn't stop moving. We ran for hours, guided only by stars and fear. No one talked. Every noise felt like a trap. Every light felt like death. We made it to an old bus station by dawn. I found a discarded jacket, put it over my uniform, and waited until the first bus left. I didn't even care where it was going. I just needed distance. I told the others to scatter, to forget each other's names, to vanish. One by one, they walked away. No hugs, no promises, just escape. That ride was the longest of my life. Not in time, but in silence. I didn't know if I was free. I didn't know if I'd been followed. I didn't even know who I was anymore. Eventually, I made it to a friend's house outside Zacatecas. I told him part of the story, enough to explain why I was half dead and terrified. He let me in, gave me food, a bed. I slept for 2 straight days. When I woke up, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't just hide. I had to speak. I had to tell someone what was happening in that place. I contacted a journalist I remembered from TV, sent him a message through a fake profile. "I have a story," I wrote, "but I'm scared they'll find me." He replied in 10 minutes. "Let's meet." That moment, I stopped being just a victim. I became a witness, and witnesses have power. So here I am, telling you this. Not because I want your pity, but because someone out there is about to walk into the same trap I did. And if I can stop even one person from stepping into that hell, then all of this pain has meaning. Listen closely. Share this story. Be the one voice that echoes louder than their silence. You don't need to be a hero to save lives. You just need to speak. And right now, this is me speaking. Loudly, clearly, unapologetically. If you know someone in danger, reach out. If you suspect something is wrong, report it. Because monsters hide best in our silence. If you made it this far, thank you. Truly. Because listening to a story like mine isn't easy. It forces you to confront evil, to imagine pain, to feel the weight of someone else's nightmare. But it also proves something, that your heart still beats for truth, that you still care. And that is exactly the kind of heart this world needs more of. There are people still trapped in places like the one I escaped. Right now, as you hear my voice, someone else is waking up to a nightmare they didn't choose. They need you. They need your voice, your prayers, your action. Maybe you can't storm gates or confront cartels, but you can speak, you can share, you can bring light into places that have long been buried in silence. If this testimony stirred something inside you, don't let that fire go out. Let it become purpose. Let it move you to protect others, to speak boldly, and to refuse to look away. Subscribe to this channel and follow Jesus, not the version used to manipulate or justify violence, but the Jesus who breaks chains, who restores the broken, and who runs toward the lost. The Jesus who kept me alive when I didn't want to be. I'm not here because I'm brave. I'm here because I was rescued. And now I want to live the rest of my life rescuing others. If that resonates with you, if you believe there's still hope, still love, still a God who sees, then walk with me. Subscribe. Share this. And choose light over fear. Choose truth over silence. Choose life. Don't let this be just another story you forget by tomorrow. Let it be the moment something shifted inside you. The moment you decided that your voice, your platform, your faith, it all matters. Even one person standing for truth can shake the ground under evil. So let's do it. Together. If you or someone you know is being deceived by false opportunities, if there's even a doubt, ask questions. Reach out. Trust your instinct. And run toward safety, not comfort. Run toward truth. Run toward Jesus. Because I promise you, He is not far from those in chains. He is near, even in the dark. Thank you for walking through this with me. I carry your presence in my heart, and I pray that my words stay with you, that they plant something deep and unshakable. I'm Daniel, and I'll keep speaking, keep fighting, and keep pointing to the one who saved me. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and stay close. I'll be waiting for you in the next story.